Hello and welcome to Cognito Key. Ever heard of a single word that can stop a multi-million-dollar business decision dead in its tracks? Well, today we're diving into exactly that word, quorum. So what is it, and why on earth does it have so much power? Let's get into it. To get us started, let me just throw a question out there for you. Picture this. A company has 3,000 members. Now, do you think it would be fair, or even legal, for just 3 of them to show up to a meeting and make a massive decision that affects everyone else? It sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? Well, this exact problem is why the rule of quorum exists. And there it is, the answer to that problem, quorum. Put simply, it's the bare minimum number of people who have to be in the room for a meeting to even count. If you don't hit that number, any decisions made are completely invalid. You can think of it like a "you must be this tall to ride" sign, but for corporate meetings. So who actually gets counted toward this magic number? Well, the rules are pretty strict. First, you have to be there in person. Second, you must have the right to vote. And here's a really important one. Proxies, meaning people voting on behalf of somebody else, do not count towards the quorum. Nope, you can't just send a stand-in. Okay, now that we've got the basics sorted, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The rules for quorum are actually quite different depending on the type of company, so let's kick things off with the rules for general meetings. For a private limited company, things are nice and simple. The magic number is just 2. That's it. As long as you have at least 2 members present in person, your meeting is valid and you're good to go. Now, for public limited companies, the system scales up. It's not a one-size-fits-all rule. For a company with up to 1,000 members, you need 5 people. If that company grows to have between 1 and 5,000 members, the quorum jumps to 15. And for the really big players with over 5,000 members, you need 30 people. It makes sense, right? The bigger the company, the more people should be involved in making decisions. And this brings up a fascinating point about company rules. A company can actually decide to be stricter than the law. In its own rulebook, called the Articles of Association, it can set a higher quorum if it wants. But, and this is a big but, it can never set a quorum that's lower than the legal minimum. It's a one-way street toward more accountability, not less. So this leads to the most obvious question, right? You've scheduled the meeting, you've sent out the notices, you've got the coffee brewing, and hardly anyone shows up. You don't meet the quorum. What happens then? Well, there's a very clear procedure. First, you have to wait for half an hour, just in case people are running late. If you still don't have enough people, the meeting is automatically postponed to the exact same day, time, and place, just 1 week later. A new notice is sent out, and here's the wild part. At that second meeting, whoever actually shows up is the quorum. Yep, even if it's just one person. But there is one major exception to this. If the meeting was demanded by the members themselves, what we call a requisitionist called meeting, and there's no quorum, the meeting isn't postponed, it's just canceled. The logic is simple. If the people who insisted on having the meeting didn't even bother to show up, there's no reason to hold it. All right, so we've covered the rules for general meetings with all the members. But what about the board of directors? As you can probably guess, they play by a slightly different set of rules. For a board meeting, the rule is 1/3 of the total number of directors, or 2 directors, and you have to take whichever of those numbers is higher. So if a board has 9 directors, 1/3 is 3, which is higher than 2, so the quorum is 3. But if a board only has, say, 4 directors, 1/3 is less than 2, so the quorum would be 2. You always go with the bigger number. And here are a few other key details for board meetings. If that 1/3 calculation results in a fraction, you always round it up to the next whole number. Also, in today's world, attending a meeting by video call absolutely counts as being present. And finally, the total strength is based only on the directors currently in their roles, not any empty board seats. The consequence for a board meeting without a quorum is pretty final. If not enough directors show up, the meeting is adjourned, usually to the same time next week. But if that rescheduled meeting also lacks a quorum, that's it. There are no more chances. The meeting is simply dissolved. And this is maybe the single most important thing to remember about quorum. It isn't just a check you do at the start of the meeting. That minimum number of people has to be present the entire time. If someone leaves to take a call and your numbers dip below the quorum, any business you conduct from that point on is totally invalid. So let's bring this all together. Why does quorum matter so much? It's really the foundation of corporate democracy. It stops that exact scenario we started with, a tiny group making huge decisions for everybody. It ensures fairness, it gives legitimacy to every single vote, and it protects the entire company from being controlled by a small, unrepresentative group. And that's our deep dive into Quorum. I really hope this explainer helped make this essential business rule crystal clear. If you found it useful, please hit that subscribe button for Cognito Key, and of course, like and share it with anyone who might benefit. Thanks so much for watching.